So I'm going to start this week off with the graphics homework. I'll show you my star. That is my star. I will show you my circle, and then I will alter said circle so that you can see it can be programmed to change. Nice. And it changed. So that is the two programming assignments. I'll go into the questions. So you want to know what would happen if we change the z's. And from my understanding of why changing the z's matter, I have two ideas, and I think both might be valid. I believe it has something to do with this triangle list. From my research, that means that they can't be unconnected, that your vertices can't be unconnected. And with that, the z's might be unconnected due to that. But I believe the reason the z makes such a significant difference is because we're trying to render a 2D image, and adding to the z would make it a three-dimensional image. So I think a mixture of the triangle list and that they can't be disconnected, as well as the fact we are rendering in 3D but asking for a 2D image, is probably what's creating this problem and why they just kind of do what they want. Then your second question is the viewport ports and the top left you were asking. I think the purpose of this simply is cameras. If you want to see around an object, I'm sure you can modify more than just the X and Y on the left. You can probably modify, or the X, I think it was the X and X, something like that. You can probably modify the Y's and the Z's to look around an object, but since it's a two-dimensional object, we probably can't do that. But I think it just has to do with the purpose of cameras, so you can move around the camera to see around an object or more interesting parts about an object. So the formats you asked, DXGI format, RGB, whatever. RGB, red, green, blue, and then A is alpha. UNorm is an unsigned normalized integer. And then, from my understanding of that, is it turns all integers into actually floats for whatever reason. So a 1 integer turns into a 1.0f, and then a 0 turns into 0.f. And then R16uint is an unsigned int. The significance is that for an sint, I believe we don't use it anymore because that's valid. That's the negative integers are unnecessary in computer graphics, and not having those, I think 256 other integers in the negative aisle or negative section is just wasting memory. I guess not wasting memory, but wasting valid space we could be using in the unsigned integer area. So we just use unsigned int because that's numbers we can actually use. And then for your third question, changing this into, let's say, 36 or 32, or just changing this at all, from all my research, I genuinely could just not figure out why this makes any significant difference. Like even just changing this to 32, you would think would make a minimal difference, but it instead doesn't even display in the correct format, which is strange for me. So I guess I'll cop out and say I really just don't know the reason why we chose this specifically and why this works so well compared to other ones. I'm sure it's the way you wrote the code, but I do not know. Yeah, it doesn't even show, which doesn't really make sense to me. So that will be the graphics homework 1.